as we continue with the next stitch on our 7th block. We will create another beautiful texture called the Trinity stitch. After the ridge transitioning between the sections, we'll just work single crochet stitches, stitching them together 3 and 3. Let me show you how. So as you can see, we are working with color B, and I've already worked the first 2 rows. So we're just creating this half double crochet ridge by first working into the back bars here on row 1 on the stitches on the previous section, and then here on row 2 we did an increase at the beginning of the row so that I've now ended up with a total of 17 stitches across. And with that, I'm ready to work row 3. I'm starting by working a chain 1, and then I'm working a single crochet in the first stitch here. In the first stitch I worked my chain stitch, and then we have a stitch called single crochet 3 together. It's explained under special stitches, and this is how we work it. We will go into the same stitch as we just worked our single crochet stitch and pick up a loop. Then we will go into the next stitch and pick up another loop, and then into the next and pick up a loop. So picking up a loop in each of the first 3 stitches. So you have 4 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and go through all those 4 loops. So after this, in the pattern, we have a bracket that tells us our repetition. So that will be to chain 1 and then work another single crochet 3 together, starting in the same stitch as we worked our last stitch. So go into that stitch and pick up a loop, go into the next one, pick up a loop, and go into a third one and pick up a loop so that you have 4 loops on your hook. Then you yarn over and go through all 4 loops. So that's a repetition, and we'll work one more together. We chain 1, and then working into the same stitch we just worked into, pick up a loop in the next one, and pick up a loop in the next one, and then yarn over and go through all 4 loops on your hook. So that's the repetition. You'll work across here now for row 3, and I'll meet you again when we're nearing the end of the row. I'm nearing the end of row 3. I have 2 more stitches that I have not worked into, so I have room for 1 more repetition. I will chain 1 and then start in the stitch, same stitch as we last worked into, and pick up a loop in the next one, and picking up a loop here in the last stitch on the row. So I have 4 loops here on my hook. I yarn over and pull through all 4 loops, and then I will end the row here by working a single crochet in the same stitch here, the same last stitch as we last worked into, just working a single crochet there. So there you have the row 3 that we will now keep repeating over and over as we work back and forth in our rows. So now when I'm turned and I'm going to repeat row 3, I'm going to work exactly the same way. So just chain 1, work a single crochet in the same stitch as your chain stitch, and then work your single crochet 3 together in these first 3 stitches. So going into the same stitch as you just worked your single, pick up a loop in the next one, and then pick up a loop in the third one, and with 4 loops on your hook, you'll yarn over and go through all 4 loops. And then you have the bracket with our repetition that starts with a chain 1 and then a single crochet 3 together, starting in the same stitch as we just worked into, pick up a loop in the next one, and pick up a loop in the next one, and with 4 loops on your hook, you yarn over and go through all 4 loops. You'll just repeat this all the way across here for row 3, and then just keep repeating row 3 back and forth, and I'll meet you again when we're nearing the finished measure. So I'm nearing the end of a row here now. Chain 1, single crocheting stitching into the same as the last one, picking up a loop in the next one, and picking up a loop in the last one. 4 loops on my hook, yarn over, and pull through all 4 loops, and then end the row with a single crochet in the same stitch as the last stitch worked into. So this is me working a row 3 repetition here on the right side. I'm at the point where I think I have reached the final measurement before working the last row. I'm bringing in my tape measure. This section should measure 8 3/4, and it does. So that means that I now can work the last row. And the last row will be worked here on the wrong side. We will work exactly the same way as we have worked row 3 that we've been repeating. So just work the way across, and the difference will be happening at the end of the row. So meet me there. I'm nearing the end here now of my last row, so I have 1 more repetition to work. I will chain 1, and then I'll work into these last 3 stitches. So I'm bringing up a loop in the same as we last worked into, and then into the next one, and into the very last one. Same way we have finished our rows before. We'll yarn over and go through all 4 loops. So the difference here, since we don't want to end on 17 stitches, at this point, we will not work into the same stitch here again. So we will just now fasten off by cutting the yarn and then pulling the tail through that last loop and tighten. So with that, we're now ending with the 16 stitches that we want to end on. Have you ever tried Tunisian crochet? It's